Um, so how are we doing with COVID? Well, I was last here 2 weeks ago, and I said, by the time I come back next week, we will have peaked. And I was right. We did peak. If you're really into the case curves, last Friday, I think. And since then, our case numbers have been coming down in the triad as well as in the triangle, as well as in the Mecklenburg-Charlotte area. Just a little bit of specifics. This time last week, we were knocking on 320 per 100,000 per day, and this morning we're at 225, 230 range. Guilford County, even a little bit lower than that. So those numbers still seem high compared to last year and last year's peak, but we'll take it, won't we? So cases are coming down. I would think they would decrease fairly rapidly for a while, and then I'm predicting a little bit of a shoulder on the curve, and kind of like what we saw with Delta. And they're seeing that in England, and there's a lot of similarities between our communities and those communities in England. So they went up, they came down fairly quickly, and then we kind of have this little plateau right now. But we'll take that too. Is this the light at the end of the tunnel? Is this the end of the pandemic? How do we go to endemicity? So we'll talk about that at the end, so stay tuned for that, as to what that might mean. So variants out there, I think Omicron showed us that variants can pop up. But the Omicron variant really surprised a lot of people in science and virology, including myself. And normally when a virus mutates, it drifts. It puts up, single or maybe two mutations in its main spike proteins. And then it drifts from there to the next one, and then from there to the next one. That's how Delta came about. Omicron hit several mutations all at once, up close to 50. A lot of them in the spike protein, which is why it's immune invasive. And how often is that going to happen? That's probably going to be a more uncommon event. It's not impossible, but the faster we can get the world vaccinated, the faster the world can become immune or partially immune, the less likely that'll be. But we're going to get subvariants, and so right now the one that people are wondering about is the BA.2 variant, which some call the son of Omicron, some call the stealth Omicron. I call it BA.2, and it's really just a subvariant with a few small differences. And the big questions is, will this be more immune invasive than Omicron itself? Will it be more infectious? Well, it's probably a tad bit more infectious. Otherwise, it wouldn't be increasing in incidence compared to its Omicron parent. But it doesn't seem to be an increase in transmissibility that's going to really make a difference for us in either community infections or your own family or personal infections. And it doesn't really seem to behave any differently. So I'm not so worried about it. And I think will it largely overtake the other one? Maybe, probably, but will it mean anything? Probably not.